Oh, hello there. Hello there. Whoa, hello there. Welcome back. My name is Tyler. I'm reading a chapter a day out of the book of Acts until we finish it. Today we're going to be reading Acts chapter 18, Ministering at Corinth. Paul returns to Antioch, and the ministry of Apollos. Yes, quite good. Yes, quite. Okay. I hope you're doing okay. I hope if everything is going quite all right. Here, it's getting warmer. Today was pretty miserable, gotta be honest, but good at the same time. Yeah, I work on top of the roofs, and it gets hot up there. It's probably about a good 10, 15 degrees hotter up on the roof. It's terrible. Yeah, but I guess that's what happens when you move into June, huh? Anyways, I saw a neat little quote on an Instagram reel. The whole video was the concept was there was two small passages. It says, when you think that God is protecting you from the girls, and then it switched to like another frame of a more somber looking man after a more fearful looking man, the somber man, and it says, when you realize God is protecting the girls from you. And I thought that was really heavy. And there was a comment in there that says, how dare I search for love when all I know is lust? A man must lead himself before he is called to lead others. I thought that was very fascinating, and I feel that it could apply to anybody who's struggling with relational issues with someone of the opposite gender, especially men dealing with girls. I believe it takes a good amount of self-reflection and understanding as to why you might be struggling finding a relationship or being presented a relationship, especially if you're still in a fit of lust. So some things that I've experienced upon starting my Christian walk when it comes to relationships is, I would say, being aware of yourself, being aware of how you respond to pressure, whether that be from your partner or situations around you, or situations could be temptations of lust. Situations involving a partner could be, do you compromise your godly ideals to appease this partner? Unfortunately, in the past relationship, I was in situations where I compromised my values, my godly values, and compromised my role as a leader and as a man, like a manly, godly leader in the relationship, to make my partner happy. And that is inevitably one of the reasons why it led to destruction. So I feel that if you are not in a relationship but you desire to be in one, if the Lord calls you to one, you need to look at what you are doing wrong, what you are not doing, because what you are not doing is, I would say, on par with what you are doing wrong. What you are not doing, and dive into the scriptures and figure out how to make it better. Put yourself in positions to develop your leadership skills, whether that be in the workplace or volunteering, things like that. Those are very good. I've been, blessed to be a part of certain organizations that allowed me to really flourish as a leader in leadership positions. I served in the military. I served in leadership positions there, but that kind of leadership is a little bit different. It's still leadership nonetheless. It's a more extreme version of leadership because you are having to deal with tasks and drills under, I would say, under stress that is elevated beyond a kind of normal day in a civilian life, if that makes sense. The levels of stress that are involved are elevated higher than what you would find like working at a Target or a Walmart or any grocery stores, construction, even things like that. So it's a different kind of leadership, but it definitely helps a lot. I also worked in a warehouse. I was involved in 2 leadership positions there because the people listened to me. And that style of leadership taught me how to direct workflow, if that makes sense. So the military taught me how to deal with stress under stressful situations, multiple people having to maneuver as a unit on a target, that kind of deal, teamwork under stress, under fire. My warehouse job, it taught me how to manage workflow, direct workflow, and keep workflow moving, keep production moving. And now I'm a lead in a roofing company, so I manage a crew, and it has really highlighted how to lead by example, meaning taking up workloads, delegating workloads, being a safety officer, being stern with regulation, and not faltering to appease the people that work not under me but in my crew. Because safety is a huge thing when working on a roof. You have to tie down with a rope to the roof so you don't fall off, or if you fall off, the rope will catch you. However, workers don't often like to wear the ropes, so I have to constantly get on them to put their ropes on. And if they are caught without ropes on, our company will get fined. And I often get pushback from the workers when I confront them about not wearing a rope. So I have to, 1, not avoid confrontation. I have to be confrontational. 2, I have to be stern and tell them, hey, if you're not going to wear your rope, you have to get off and go home. And 3, I have to be ready to lay down the law and fire people if it comes to that. I hope it doesn't, but I have to be ready for that. So it's a different, it's kind of like an authority. I'm stepping into the authority part of leadership, as well as managing the crew, delegating, things like that, given authority. So those are 3 different styles of leadership that has helped shape me into who I am in this moment. So if you feel that you could improve, or that you want to improve, or have the desire to improve, look into potential, different areas of work and see what you can learn out of that. See what you can get out of that. You know what I mean? And allow the work to help develop you. You have to put yourself in a position to develop and grow. Because if you sit in your room like I used to, you sit in your room all the time and you're like, why haven't I grown as a person? Well, maybe because you haven't done anything. You know what I mean? You got to get out there, and you have to actually put yourself in positions to develop as a person, positions that are uncomfortable and that will bring it. Put yourself in positions that will bring out of you what is necessary to thrive. Do you know what I mean? Being in the military, being under stress, it'll bring that sense of calmness and steadiness and focus out of you to survive and thrive in those kinds of environments. And being constantly exposed to those environments will help reinforce those habits and reinforce those traits, and eventually it'll just become second nature. You know what I mean? What is this fly doing? It's just going all over my head. I get it. I got off of work and I smell, but goodness. But seriously, take that into consideration. So this all started with relationships. I feel that as men, when we develop as leaders and in a work sense, it will develop us as leaders in a biblical sense, and therefore in like a manly sense, and the relationship will then come once you are ready. Hi. So yeah, sorry for the sudden change of, whatever, but my phone overheated and it cut the video right before I started the reading. Oh gosh, I didn't realize I yapped for 10 minutes. Oh, unfortunate. Anyways, we got to read again, chapter 18. So let's get into it. Ministering at Corinth. For these things, Paul departed from Athens and went to Corinth. And he found a certain Jew named Aquila, born of Pontus, who had recently come from Italy with his wife Priscilla, because Claudius had commanded all the Jews to depart from Rome. And he came to them. So because he was of the same trade, he stayed with them and worked, for by occupation they were tent makers. So Paul was a tent maker. If anyone ever asks you, what's up with these helicopters, man? Oh my gosh. Anyways, and he reasoned in the synagogues every Sabbath and persuaded both Jews and Greeks. When Silas and Timothy had come from Macedonia, Paul was compelled by the Spirit and testified to the Jews that Jesus is the Christ. But when they opposed him and blasphemed, he shook his garments and said to them, "Your blood be upon your own heads. I am clean. From now on I will go to the Gentiles." This helicopter needs to go away. Oh my goodness. And he departed from there and entered the house of a certain man named Justus, one who worshipped God, whose house was next door to the synagogue. Then Crispus, the ruler of the synagogue, believed on the Lord with all his household. And many of the Corinthians, hearing, believed and were baptized. Now the Lord spoke to Paul in the night by a vision. "Do not be afraid, but speak and do not keep silent, for I am with you. No one will attack you to hurt you, for I have many people in this city." And he continued there 1 year and 6 months, teaching the word of God among them. When Gallio was a proconsul of Achaia, the Jews with one accord rose up against Paul and brought him to the judgment seat, saying, "This fellow persuades men to worship God contrary to the law." And when Paul was about to open his mouth, Gallio said to the Jews, "If it were a matter of wrongdoing or wicked crimes, O Jews, there would be a reason why I should bear with you. But if it is a question of words and names and your own law, look to it yourselves, for I do not want to be a judge of such matters." And he drove them from the judgment seat. Then all the Greeks took Sosthenes, the ruler of the synagogue, and beat him before the judgment seat. But Gallio took no notice of these things. So Paul remained a good while. Then he took leave of the brethren and sailed for Syria, and Priscilla and Aquila were with him. He had his hair cut off at Cenchrea, for he had taken a vow. And he came to Ephesus and left there, but he himself entered the synagogue and reasoned with the Jews. When they asked him to stay a longer time with them, he did not consent, but took leave of them, saying, "I must by all means keep this coming feast in Jerusalem, but I will return again to you, God willing." And he sailed from Ephesus. And when he landed at Caesarea and gone up and greeted the church, he went down to Antioch. After he had spent some time there, he departed and went over to the region of Galatia and Phrygia in order, strengthening all the disciples. Now a certain Jew named Apollos was born in Alexandria. An eloquent man and mighty in the scriptures came to Ephesus. This man had been instructed in the way of the Lord, and being fervent in spirit, he spoke and taught accurately the things of the Lord, though he only knew the baptism of John. So he began to speak boldly in the synagogue, and when Aquila and Priscilla heard him, they took him aside and explained to him the way of God more accurately. And when he desired to cross to Achaia, the brethren wrote, exhorting the disciples to receive him. And when he arrived, he greatly helped those who had believed through grace. For he vigorously refuted the Jews publicly, showing from the scriptures that Jesus is the Christ. That was Acts chapter 18. Sorry for the long yap sesh, and I'm kind of frustrated that my phone overheated, but I think I need to start recording in the shade because it's getting hot. in June. Who would have thought? Anyways, tomorrow's chapter 19. Probably won't yap as long. Who knows? Until then, we'll see ya.